More Lauri Markkanen trade rumors. Let's get into it. This first rumor comes from Jake Fischer talking about the Kings and how they were really close to a trade with the Utah Jazz and Lauri Markkanen.
Lauri Markkanen, he seems like the biggest name that sort of popped up in these discussions in the aftermath of some of the big names in free agency.
He's definitely been on the list of like, go get a guy for Golden State. The Sacramento Kings, to my knowledge, earlier this week were close to a deal. I do think that based off of conversations I've had.
Really?
Utah was in a very similar situation to Brooklyn with Mikal Bridges, trying to find someone to bring in to pair with that guy to start the arrow pointing back up towards championship contention. Then instead, they got a massive offer from New York and shipped him out the door. So that sets a really nice benchmark for what Utah would want for Lauri Markkanen. Utah prefers to keep Lauri and renegotiate and extend him. They can't do that, though, until August 6th. So why not spend the next month fielding offers? Utah is conducting their business with a 10% chance they're going to move him. But you're telling me there's a chance.
So the Jazz were just about there with a trade with the Sacramento Kings until it fell through. Jake Fischer ends by saying there's just a 10% chance he gets traded, but that's still a 10% chance. But there are other rumors out there where other reporters are saying something different. Zach Lowe on his podcast had this to say about Lauri Markkanen.
Pivoting to the Warriors now, Klay's gone. They didn't get Paul George. I think they're trying to get Lauri Markkanen. I think there's a price point. I think Utah at some point in the next calendar year is going to trade Markkanen. Maybe sooner than that. I just think I just look at Danny Ainge's history. If you meet his price, he will trade. And the next two drafts, not just this coming draft, the next two drafts are supposed to be incredible. I think the Jazz are tired of doing this dance where, hey, we're 20-18, we're doing great. Look at the Jazz. Oh, we don't really want to be that good. Can we pull the rug out? Oh, it's too late. Oh, we're picking 10th. Yeah, great.
So the Utah Jazz just have to make a decision. Just like Lowe says, they can't go into the season, be a 500 basketball team, and then trade everyone at trade deadline, and then go and get the 8 to 10 pick in the draft, especially with a draft as good as this one. The Jazz have to make a decision. Tony Jones said similar things to Lowe when he recently went on Sacramento radio talking about how the Jazz are trying to make a decision. He also had some interesting insights on what's going on in the trade process for Utah.
You know, I've noticed that there's been a lot of noise the last few days, and and that's because teams have ramped up, right? Like they've ramped up offers. They've actually put tangible offers on the table. Like Sacramento has a tangible offer on the table. The Golden State Warriors have a tangible offer on the table. The San Antonio Spurs, they've expressed a lot of interest. And in all, to my knowledge, 20 teams around the league have called one way or another about Lauri in the offseason for the Jazz. So, I mean, interest obviously is there. Obviously, the noise is there. It's just a matter of, does it meet Utah's threshold? And it's going to be a very, very high threshold to have to meet to get the Jazz to trade him.
Tony Jones, nice enough to join us. So if you could, Tony, as far as you understand it, where is it right now then? Are the Jazz mulling these offers? Are teams waiting to hear back? Are teams still kind of bidding against each other, maybe upping these offers? Where, as far as we know, actually is it right now? If you're the Kings, you waiting to hear back, or where is it from their standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jazz are, first of all, here's the thing. The Jazz are trying to figure out which way they want to go. Mm-hmm. And, the day before the draft, a couple of days before the draft, they were really in on Mikal Bridges. And if they had gotten Bridges, they believe that there was something in free agency for them to do that would have been substantial. So their first choice and, their first focus for the last month has been finding ways to improve the roster. So, they haven't done anything in free agency right now. I mean, unless we're just going gaga over Drew Eubanks. And, they're trying to figure out, okay, do we continue to try to improve the team, or do we look at this loaded draft class of 2025 and we look at our own first round pick, which is top 10 protected, and owed to Oklahoma City, and try to figure out a way to get into that top 10? My guess, knowing that they weren't able to get Bridges, that there's really nobody substantial outside of Brandon Ingram on the trade market. There's really nobody substantial on the free agency market. My guess is that they pivot towards internal development and playing the kids, and they have a lot of kids. And if they do that, with or without Lauri Markkanen, they're going to be terrible next year. Like, they're going to be, worse than the Western Conference bad, outside of Portland. So I think they have to figure out which way they're going to go there. And, and then they have to figure out is what's on the table for Lauri Markkanen, is it enough to make us pull the trigger, or do we just keep him and renegotiate and extend his contract, and then, potentially just kick the can down the road a little bit?
So like Tony Jones says, the Utah Jazz have to make a decision. They have apparently offers from 20-plus teams on Lauri Markkanen there, and they're deciding what offer they want to take. Or maybe they're just deciding if they want to keep Markkanen or not. My guess is if they have 20 offers on the table, and they've got big offers from teams like the Warriors, Spurs, the Sacramento Kings, they've got a lot to decide. And also, they've probably had to talk with Lauri Markkanen and find out which team he'd be most likely to re-sign with, because he does have that decision coming. So we'll see what the Jazz do. My guess is they're going to make a trade here at some point. The question is, like Zach Lowe said, which team is willing to pay the price that Danny Ainge has set? Once they do, the trade will happen. Guys, like and subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you next time.